What's going on, Notre Dame fans? Welcome to another Yo. I am Jeff. This is Mike. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the Notre Dame Central Michigan game and also the matchup you guys may have heard about versus Ohio State this weekend. As everyone knows, the Irish moved up to 4-0 with a convincing win over Central Michigan, 41-17. Left a little bit to be desired. They were up 21-14 at half. So, sloppy day, but it was kind of just a sloppy day all around college football. Mike, how do you feel about just how the flow of that game went?
Not inspired. They kind of went through the motions. Clearly looking ahead, I think. I don't think you can underestimate not having, the defensive starters out. It's amazing that you lose one linebacker and the defense is a sieve against the run, against
So
a team that can't run.
remember when Schmidt got hurt in 14?
If that was Van Gorder,
No, I know, but they lost the quarterback there. You wouldn't think that would be such a huge get, but I feel they just nosedive after he went. But no, you're right. They were just kind of going through the motions. What's really scary though is CMU was playing without their starting quarterback. So that first half, you're like, we're up 7, and two of our touchdowns, or was it all 3 in the first half that were really long? I know
yeah,
Estime had like the 20-yarder off of the line.
Tobias had the big one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
boy, it's awesome seeing him step up. He had the big catch versus NC State, and then he had that catch last week. So hopefully he's around because they're going to need him these next few weeks. And obviously we're going to get into Ohio State. It's a huge game. It's the marquee opponent. But if you're looking beyond the next 3 games after Ohio State, Duke on the road, USC home, week off then, right after SC, and then it's Louisville on the road.
Something like that, yeah.
I know those are the next games. I think there's a week off after SC, but Louisville, they're not that impressive. They're just winning games, and I think they have a real chance to be undefeated. When they come
I
and play the Irish.
think they'll all be undefeated when we play them.
Yeah. Real quick before we talk about any more of the game, I just wanted to go over some of our picks. So with Notre Dame, they were 34.5-point favorites this weekend. Mike was the only one to pick Central Michigan. He was the only one to get it correct. Frank and I both went with the Irish to cover. So with Notre Dame games, Mike, you are 4-0 against the spread. Frank and I are 3-1. So, 3-1's awesome, and then I'm looking at your 4-0, and I'm like, damn it, like that he's killing us. Our lock of the weeks, Frank had Washington covering at 16.5 at Michigan State. 41-0, I think, was the final. They obviously won that. And then we both had Penn State with the 14.5, which I thought would be a layup, but we ended up sweating that out a little bit towards the end there. So, Mike, you and I are 3-1 on our non-ND games, our lock of the week. Frank is 3-0. Of course, he missed one of them. So we will later this week come back with more picks. Not that anyone's really caring, but whatever. It's still cool to keep track of. And
I mean, if you're a gambler and you're using our picks, you're up big.
Up huge. No, I agree. Something else. Looking at some of Notre Dame's opponents, Notre Dame's opponents' record so far this year through the week 4 is 25-11. Obviously, Ohio State, Duke, Louisville, and USC are 12-0 combined. Did you happen to see Stanford this weekend?
I did not.
They lost to Sacramento State.
Oh, I did see this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect much from Stanford, but taking an L to Sacramento State, and then it really begs the question, how bad is Hawaii? Because Stanford kind of pounded them.
Yeah.
So they're just unbelievable. I can't believe how fast Stanford has fallen to just losing to Sacramento State. It's pretty crazy. And then I know in our last video we touched on Navy because they played on Thursday night. That was a heartbreaker to Memphis. But I got a question for you. Other than this Ohio State game, I think I know what your answer is going to be, so maybe I'll ask for your top 2. But is USC the toughest game beyond Ohio State?
Yeah, it's not close.
Okay, after that then, what's Notre Dame's toughest game remaining on the schedule?
It's still going to Clemson.
Because it's on the road?
And
Why not Duke?
it's still going to Clemson.
Dude,
Because
this Duke game is in the worst spot ever.
I understand. I'm just fearful Clemson will somehow put it together at quarterback, and they're a different team if they have a quarterback.
No, absolutely. They're playing with one arm tied behind their back. And, I was reading on some Clemson site that, or maybe it was a tweet, they were super excited because their quarterback didn't have a turnover this week. And that
It's a
they were
step
writing,
forward.
yeah, they were writing about that. They're like, yeah, we didn't have a turnover. Real quick, back to Central Michigan here. We touched on Tobias, Estime. I
He's,
realized they were outclassed, but that guy will lower his shoulder on you, turn a corner, and run away from you, or he will hurdle you.
yep,
Uh, he better be ready to roll. I do have one question for you. Is our kicker Schrader good or not?
yes, he's really good.
His numbers say otherwise. Now I realize he's booting half-mile long field goals.
Yeah, he's really good. Is he the most accurate? No.
Well, that's. I feel like it's a gamble no matter where he's shooting from. It could be from 60 yards or 30 yards, and you're like, please go in.
We have a shot beyond 50, and that means a lot.
It does. It stretches the field, but it is a total gamble. I think the jury's still out on him, but I'm definitely rooting for him.
Mm.
Hartman, why are we not talking about him for Heisman?
I think they're starting to. I think I saw ESPN had him fifth.
Okay.
Estimate's the guy.
I realize, but Mike, Hartman's now 64 and 90, 71%, 1,061 yards, 13 TDs, and 0 ends. And I know everyone's like, oh, they played nobody. All right, when's the last time a Notre Dame quarterback did that versus any 4 games out of a season?
Right.
You could just pick him. He's killing people. Another interesting stat. I didn't fact check it, but I forget where I read it from. But I think it's correct. There have been 9 instances that Notre Dame's opponents have fumbled. 7 of those 9 were directly caused by Notre Dame's D. 0 of them went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, I feel like both sides we haven't seen a lot of fumbles. I mean, offensively too. I'm trying to think of the fumbles. Estimate had one,
It
maybe.
went out of
But
bounds.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Hartman fumbled against NC State, but we recovered it.
he lost one
Right.
though too.
Hartman?
Yeah. That was when Notre Dame was up 7 in the third quarter. Hartman fumbled and ND's D. I think they missed a field goal or something. Notre Dame stuffed him and then scored, and that kind of blew the game
Yeah.
open. Yeah, he had 2 in that game. One of the linemen fetched that one inside their own 10-yard line.
Yeah.
But when NC State tightened it to 7, Hartman did fumble, and Notre Dame thankfully recovered that. I just thought that was a crazy stat. 9 fumbles, and you didn't
It's
get one.
it's unlucky.
It's very unlucky, and that's the kind of stuff that needs to break our way here the next 4 games. Sure you guys have all heard it, but 40 points plus for the first 4 games of the season, tied with the 1900 team. 40 points in 5 games in a row, which is now a record. So it's pretty cool to see the offense taking off, and then you go and turn on the TV and you see Alabama play. Any thoughts on what's going on down there with your boy Tommy?
Nick will figure it out. I have all the confidence in the world in him.
He's gonna fire
Milroe's the starting quarterback now again. They need to run the ball with him more. Like read
Yeah,
option.
agreed. Interesting stat that Frank provided. So last week we had a unique experience of being able to watch Buckner at Alabama, Jerko at Pitt, and Drew Pine at
Right.
Arizona State. Collectively on Saturday, they went 17 of 37, 2 lost fumbles. Oh, no, excuse me. They went 18 of 47 for 167 yards, 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 17 rush attempts, 37 yards, and they lost 2 fumbles.
What do they all have in common besides attending Notre Dame?
What do they all have in common besides attending Notre Dame?
I mean, that's part of it's Brian Kelly. He
Oh,
ruins
yeah.
quarterbacks.
He, absolutely, and I I'm not an LSU hater. I always liked LSU. We've seen Notre Dame play LSU. We had a blast at the Sugar Bowl down in '07. That was awesome. Their fans were really cool. But my God, if you're an LSU fan, you got to know this is as good as it gets with quarterback play too. I mean, it's.
They haven't figured that out yet. The smart
I
ones
think
have.
some of them,
Some of them have.
Bama fans have figured it out pretty quick. they're yeah,
Yeah.
they're so.
I mean, they don't have a quarterback though. Like they're
Which
making chicken salad out of some poop.
I
Milroe's
hear
gonna
you,
be all right. He
but
needs
it's
time.
South Florida, and your whole team is NFL guys.
Yeah. Their offensive line is struggling too. They'll get it figured out. I don't want to be Ole Miss this week. Everyone's just writing Bama off.
Yeah, I don't know
And
how. Well,
and
Bama's
Kiffin's
favored.
chirping.
Of course he is.
Well, but don't poke the bear.
I hear you. Yeah, if someone's gonna figure it out, it's definitely gonna be it's gonna be Saban. So, um, anything else that stuck out to you with that Central Michigan game before we turn the page on our preseason schedule, if you will?
It was a yawner. I
What
mean,
ex-
Ohio State's coming. They just went through the motions. I'm not really concerned about it. People are freaking out about the defense. It was sloppy. The only thing that is concerning, I think, so far is the penalties.
yeah.
That's been habitual now. It's not. It's they are heavily penalized.
No, and you can't have 100 yards of penalties this week.
No.
We're gonna get in later in the week to our prediction. Right now, Notre Dame is 3.5 point dogs at home. It's gonna be interesting to see if that line's gonna tighten up as we get closer to the game. I do feel like there's a lot of people picking Notre Dame, which frightens me as a Notre Dame fan. I guess looking at this is the best chance to beat Ohio State. At least, the last 5 times, 95, 96, 05, 15, and 21. I think this is the worst Ohio State team they've seen, which is good.
That's that's I think it worded wrong. I think those other teams were elite. This one's not
Ag-
elite yet.
Agreed, but I said it like that because I feel like a lot of people are also trying to write Ohio State off, and I think if Notre
No.
Dame does win, that's going to be the narrative from the media. Oh well, Ohio State, they don't have a quarterback. It's just like when Notre Dame beat Clemson in 20. Well, they didn't have Trevor Lawrence. I got that more than this,
Yeah.
but I do feel like they're setting that up. And another really interesting thing is going to be, if Notre Dame wins this game, where do you rank them? Florida State, they beat LSU. I mean, I would take Ohio State over LSU if they were playing straight up.
100%.
Every time,
Unless,
I would take them.
unless you beat Grambling and Mississippi State, who's in a coaching transition. They suck.
The point being, you rolled the Knolls all the way up into number three. I, if Notre Dame beats Ohio State, is there anyone that has a better win in the country? Because I don't think you can say Texas over Bama is the best win now.
No, but it's probably comparable.
Yeah,
Ohio State's getting a raw deal here with these rankings. They started third. They went on the road week one, a sloppy game against
Indiana,
Indiana. It's a Big Ten team. I know they're not good. They did what they had to do, and
Austin P.
now Youngstown and
Yeah, Youngstown. I'm sorry, Austin P was Tennessee.
and Western Kentucky, and they hammered Western Kentucky.
Hammered them. Like their D showed up.
Yeah, and people see Western Kentucky and like, oh, that
They're gonna score.
not they're a good football team. Like, yeah, they're not going to play with Ohio State, but you handled your business. Point is, Florida State goes up to BC and squeaks by an awful football team, and they don't move. Maybe one spot. Like Ohio State's fallen from 3 to 6 for winning, and winning convincingly. You're
Yeah,
just
I
not
mean,
beating them by, you didn't beat Indiana by 50 like you were supposed to. Who cares?
yeah, I don't know what happened with Florida State this weekend. They were up 31-10. The game was tight through the first 2 quarters. They go up 31-10 and then just turnovers, BC just scoring at will. And the same BC team that almost took an L to Holy Cross the week before. So that is kind of alarming. I read something on Saturday night. They have a little ticker that obviously shows the scores, but then they have the other one that shows the news, the major news of the day. And the headline for Bama was, after first quarter weather delay, Bama pulls away from South Florida. And I'm
No,
like, that's
it
not at
was
all.
it was 10-3 till
In
the
the
to the
5 minutes
last
left in the game.
minute and a
Right.
half or something.
I'm like, that's not at all how that game went. It's not
Right.
like Bama got up 2 scores and just sat on them. Like, they
No.
were fighting for their life. Just thought it was interesting wording, because then the next game was Florida State escapes, with their life out of Boston,
Right.
which is true. I mean, that's accurate, but I mean, Bama was
Bama
game was
escaped.
that game was in the air, and then
Yeah.
I think Nick was like, let's just get out of here.
Yeah.
Let's get this W and roll. Real interesting week of games coming up here as well. Penn State, Iowa, which is opposite Notre Dame. Clemson, Florida State. Colorado and Oregon. So there. Any other game? What's the game that you're most looking forward to outside of Notre Dame?
I mean, I'm gonna root for
Go
Iowa,
Hawkeyes.
obviously.
Go
Yeah.
Hawkeyes.
Hawkeyes.
Go Hawkeyes.
I want to see what Clemson's got. I think Florida State's overrated.
I think they're a good team though, and
They are a good team.
Their Q,
And Jordan Travis is the man.
he's really good.
Yeah.
He's a smart kid. Doesn't play dumb.
Yeah.
I agree.
He played against Notre Dame.
in like
Two-
18 or 20.
Yeah, and they kept rotating him with other people, and it was like, why are you doing this? Their offense
it-
moves when he's on the field. Like
Was
they
it
brought in that.
Francois then, or was he in 18?
I don't know. They had that like 6'6" quarterback. He was a beanpole.
Yeah.
He was not good.
I forget his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the man. I mean, and he's all the difference in the world to that team. So no, you're right. I do remember that, because every time he came in versus Notre Dame, they just moved the ball.
Yeah.
Really didn't have an answer for him. Without getting too far in depth here, I just want to know, what scares you the most this weekend?
Notre Dame's offensive line.
Why?
The interior struggles, and Ohio State is stout up front with playmakers. They are stout. So I think Notre Dame will bottle up their run, because they are struggling on their offensive line as well. But Notre Dame's offensive line has to show up.
See, I feel like it's funny you said that, because I thought, for me, the defensive line is the question mark.
It is. Ohio State has really struggled running the football this year. I think they're averaging 5 yards a carry, which sounds great, but they don't do it consistently. They haven't given up any sacks either, I think. But their running attack they're not going to overwhelm you.
Yeah, it would just be nice to be able to get a pass rush with 4 guys, and that way you can, man the back 7 against, obviously, their bread and butter, their foundation, which is the receivers.
If they can run,
It's over.
this game's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
But Notre Dame's going to struggle offensively. That Knowles with that 4-2-5, it's weird, and he's good at it. And they got playmakers.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah, so obviously it's funny you say the offensive line and I say the defensive line. I guess maybe we should also be talking about the defensive backfield, but we will get into that later. Are you I have a question. Do you have the 1935 and 36 Ohio State programs?
Yeah. Of course. They'll make an appearance
When?
before the game.
Before the game.
Yeah, before Saturday. I can't be held to a schedule.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Mike, you got to get those out. I mean,
Oh,
those
yeah.
are, first off, it's the last time Notre Dame beat them.
I think it's the only time they beat them.
35 and 36, yeah.
Yeah.
They're 2-5 versus them.
Or I don't think they won 36. Did they win both of those?
Yeah, I think they're 2-5.
Oh.
I think they did them both. But the 35 game in Columbus was the first game of the century.
Andy Pilner.
Yeah.
I think that's who was
Yeah, I think it's it
went
too.
wild in the last 2 minutes.
I'm trying to think of classic Ohio State cards.
I have it on DVD. The game.
We could post that. Would we get banged for copyright? Thing's 100 years old. There's
It's
no way.
it's black and white.
Throw it on, man.
I'm not technologically that savvy.
Well, if we had any viewers, I would tell them to leave us comments on how to do it, but. So, with that said, do you have anything you want to add here?
Notre Dame's got to have this game.
Yeah, this is huge. I mean,
None of this coming up just short like Georgia. They got to win this. This one matters.
yeah, at home, night, trying to. Here's what bothers me, though. First off, I'm trying to wrap my head around Notre Dame winning because it's just so tough to envision it because it's like I just don't see this on the same playing field as beating Clemson the last two times Notre Dame did. Like this is a marquee matchup and they're fully loaded. Notre Dame's got to win it. But anyway, all I can think about is even if Notre Dame wins, are they just going down to Durham and laying an egg? Because after they beat Florida State in '02, Boston College,
Duke's living a lie.
why?
Duke's living a lie.
They have a quarterback.
Yeah, they're still Duke.
I don't know.
Wait, isn't their nose guard that Jamarian Franklin, the kid that transferred from Notre Dame?
Is that where he is?
I'm pretty sure that he's their nose guard.
You sit here and you watch TV and you're. I like Dion. You're getting Dion jammed down your throat, dude. What Mike Elko is doing at Duke is
Yeah,
insanity. Like they actually go to class. But
he will be the next A&M coach.
oh god, don't tell me that.
That's where he's
'Cause
going.
he'll kill it there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be awful, and I didn't think of that. Somehow I was like, man, I hope he just stays there until Freeman's done at Notre Dame. But if they have a 10-win season, they went 9-3 last year, I think, or 10-3 last
Yeah.
year. If they do that again, Duke, I don't know, man. Duke looked tough.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I
we'll see.
mean,
Hey,
you played a team that literally can't throw the football forward.
but that's still a game Duke's getting housed on, and they win it by 3 scores.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm not saying they're national title contender or anything, but they're pretty good. One other thing before we leave, kudos to the ACC last weekend. They had 6 games versus the Big Ten. They went 4-2, and their L's were Virginia, who's I don't know what the hell's going on in Virginia. They are horrible. They lost to Maryland, and then Virginia Tech. My God, they got dominated by Rutgers.
But they beat Purdue.
No, they lost to Purdue.
Oh, I thought they beat Purdue in
No,
that rainstorm.
Virginia Tech lost to Purdue.
Oh,
That's
so they're
Purdue.
0-2. They're
Purdue's
0-2 against the Big Ten.
yes, and Purdue's 1-2. The win over Virginia Tech and L to Fresno, and then that's one of the games this past weekend. They lost at home to Syracuse. Louisville beat IU. Duke beat Northwestern, and North Carolina over many. I don't know Fleck. I I thought maybe he could be at Notre Dame and would be a good fit, but they're just kind of stuck where they are, like a 7-5 type club. They're just not getting over the hump. They got waxed.
Carolina's, I'll believe it later on, but they have somewhat of a faint pulse on defense now.
They
Whereas last year they didn't. It's like they didn't even have anyone on the field.
yeah, they played TCUD. Now
Yeah,
they're definitely playing better. With that, unless you got something to add, Mike, we'll wrap it up. We're gonna try and throw in some videos this week, and we will come with
the pregame edition's going to be hard.
okay.
Yeah,
Why is that?
this is a big one. This is the biggest one they've had in a while. Only because I think. I mean, let's be honest. BK's teams, yeah, they were good, but they were pretenders.
They were soft.
Yeah, this team's not soft. They might not be ready for prime time, but I don't know. Maybe they are. Hartman and Estimate make it go.
Yeah, you can't complain about the receivers right now either. There's not that
No.
marquee guy, but there's someone catching a football every time he throws it.
Yeah.
And then getting the starters back, Evans and Bertrand, and who's the other one? There's someone else that they were missing. The
DJ
draft.
Brown.
Yeah. So I mean that's going to be huge. I'm excited, man, but there's just part of me that just refuses to get overly excited. I'm like, yeah, but you know how this is going to end,
It's Ohio State.
and it's Ohio State,
It's Ohio State. They are more talented at almost every position.
and they're experienced in these games.
Yes.
I mean, experienced winning these games.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's a good ending there. It's Ohio State, and they're more experienced, but I'm going to keep the faith. So, if you are one of our watchers, come back for the pregame because, like I said earlier, I mean, you could be making some money now watching this at this point. We have a pretty good sample size. Mike, you are 7-1 altogether against the spread. I'm 6-2, and Frank is 6-1. So, I mean, are you kidding me? You
And that
know,
Auburn game, I shouldn't have taken that Auburn game. I should have known. I should have known. They'd go out to Cal.
5.5. Take care of Cal. Notre Dame beat Cal last year.
Yeah, I know. It's Auburn. I should have known. I should have known.
It's you're 7-1 and you're still just focused on that one.
Yeah, because it was garbage. It was so bad.
It was a horrible game.
I think more people listen to our podcast than watch that game.
That game was terrible.
Yeah.
I had to turn it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was watching. I was like, Jesus, this is awful, awful. Yeah, think about what you're gonna do this week. This week, I was just peeking at him real quick. This week is difficult. It definitely is.
Colorado's getting like 20 and a
20.
half.
Yeah, but they're missing Hunter.
Yeah, that was a cheap shot.
That was a cheap shot.
I can't believe he lacerated his kidney though.
He's a small dude.
Yeah, but come on. He didn't hit him that hard. Whatever.
Talk that trash, you're gonna piss off a safety. And that's what happened.
Dude,
He lined
that
him
kid
up.
is from Boulder too.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
He's getting death threats. Him and his family.
yeah. Purdue and Wisconsin Friday night. All right, with that, we're gonna roll. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, and pay attention to our picks because Mike
They're
is
fire.
on fire. He's fire. All right, go Irish. We'll see you guys this week.